crash landed at a ranch at Corona, New Mexico. The rancher turned it over to the Air Force. Rancher W.W. Brazell was the man who discovered the saucer.
What I thought was a star began coming in my direction at a very rapid rate of speed.
The unidentified object, which some sources thought might be a blimp, moved slowly down the Pacific coast from Santa Monica and disappeared south of Long Beach.
I saw a UFO, and it went down the river, turned right at the United Nations, turned left, and then down the river.
UFO classified. UFO classified. No more plausible deniability. Fact, fiction, or the truth. You decide. And now, the new voice of the high desert, the hostess of UFO Classified, Erica Lukes.
Well, good afternoon, good evening, my friends. I'm Erica Lukes, and I'm always stoked to be here on Friday night and to share information with you, to hear from all of you on private messages or Facebook, wherever. You mean the world to me, and I really mean this from the bottom of my heart. I'm here every week because of you. I have, as a lot of you know, after listening to interviews with me or listening to me on my show, reading the article in Newsweek, I have definitely been in the target of some unusual, really nasty people in the field. And for me, publicly, to be out, especially in the UFO community, it's been a struggle. There have been nights where I've cried myself to sleep and wondered why I even bother with this. And then I have an experience like I did last weekend on my show where I interviewed two very, very special people to me. A person who contacted me 6 years ago, 6 years ago, who lives up near Skinwalker Ranch, who had a series of, and still does, incredible sightings. I went up there and did a 2-day video interview with my videographer, Matt Hepworth. We filmed the mother and the grandmother, and it is absolutely some of the most exceptional footage. Every time I watch it, I get tears in my eyes, because you have this family of people who live in a small town, a very religious small town. They don't want to talk about things, and they're trying to come to terms with experiences that they've been dealing with and have had no outlet their whole life. The grandmother, who passed away last year in August, was 93. And for her to hear her very candid thoughts, at first when we started the interview, she wanted to have her face blacked out. And then as she became more comfortable and could truly feel empowered and knew where I was coming from, she showed her face. And I'm going to be playing bits of her interview tonight because I want you to hear her voice. I want you to remember her like I will for the rest of your lives, and let her give you inspiration, because she was truly a brave and incredible human being. I'm privileged to have known her. I want to just address something that came to my attention after the show that I did with Dr. Eric Davis. I stated on that show that there had been medical injuries at Skinwalker Ranch, and somebody informed me, a listener informed me, that he had posed the question to Jeremy Corbell via Twitter and said, Erica Luke said that people have been injured recently at Skinwalker Ranch during the Eric Davis interview. Eric Davis confirmed he is currently linked to the new owner in some way. Yes, this is correct. And I would just stress that I would never go on a radio show with somebody who was involved or is currently involved with research and misstate facts. I was specifically told by the owner of the ranch. Further, in a Twitter post, Corbell says, "I am not aware of any recent injuries whatsoever. I believe this to be incorrect." And then someone replies, "Interesting." And then Corbell replies, "Rumors spread easily about the ranch. I'm pretty sure I have my finger on the pulse at the moment, and it's a persistent rumor. I'm not saying there haven't been claims of injury. I'm just saying that they haven't been substantiated in any serious way. The mystery is deeper than that." I think when I read that, I was taken aback a little bit because, first of all, I've been very heavily vested in research in my home state for over a decade and would never, as most of you know, say something that I couldn't substantiate. I was also kind of taken aback that there's a new film coming out in which I've been very supportive of, and that someone would make comments like this via Twitter. So I did send Corbell a personal message asking him to have professional courtesy for me next time and talk with me. But I just wanted to put that out there. Yes, I personally spoke with the owner of the ranch. This is very true. There have been medical injuries at Skinwalker Ranch. And so just to let you know, I want to give a shout out before I get into tonight's show to Stephen Padilla. He has been helping me post things on my Facebook page, new articles, different things that are interesting. Thank you for doing that. I also want to give a shout out to Northern UFOs, who rocks, and he's been helping me get information, my show out on YouTube. Any way that each of you could get this information out would be greatly appreciated. I wish I had more time in the day, so your love and support means the world to me. In my investigations here in Utah, because of my own personal experiences, which I have had since I was a child, I have felt compelled to really dig into things and to create a comfort zone for witnesses. I have personally investigated some amazing cases, one of which was the American Airlines Flight 434 case that took place over Nephi, Utah. That was a case that was one of MUFON's top 10 cases of the year because there was audio from a flight crew of American Airlines, which was en route from San Francisco to Philadelphia. And someone in the crew radioed in saying that they were wondering what this large orange square was. There was also another portion of the interview that, according to the witness who overheard this transmission, the witness stated that they were concerned because this object was flying or keeping pace with the plane. I did a radar request. And when I got the radar request, I had William Puckett, who is incredible, one of the best analysts in the world, analyze the radar. And what he found was truly staggering. There were radar hits. This wasn't anomalous propagation, but this was spanning a 6-mile area. And so we also obtained, through an FAA FOIA request, which does cost money when you submit these FOIA requests. We also obtained the flight logs, which revealed nothing. We also obtained the audio transmission, and we were able to verify, again, what the witness told us, part of it. A portion of the audio had been redacted, which makes it incredibly curious, but this is one of those rare cases where you have radar, you have audio, and it was pretty stunning. It was, according to William Puckett, who was on my show, he's been on my show several times, this case was better than Stevensville, and he worked on Stevensville. So that's saying something. So if you can find any information out about that, learn about that case, that's really a big one. I've also worked on other cases here. A couple summers ago, this is really cool for those of you who live in Utah, there was a Tears for Fears concert at a local venue, and this venue is called Red Butte. It's outdoors. It is the place to go, just have a good time and look at the mountains. Incredible. But I was informed by somebody who actually was the person responsible for booking the shows at this venue, and apparently he was on stage when Tears for Fears was on stage, and they noticed a series of very interesting light formations flying overhead. And not only did the Tears for Fears, the stagehands, notice it, but a whole crowd of concert goers noticed this. They tried to take video and photos, but of course taking videos and photos at night is very difficult. Again, I did pull radar data because the case was a mass sighting. Bill Puckett analyzed that data and could find a couple of anomalous things, but unfortunately, because there is so much interference and ground clutter, because this place is right next to the University of Utah, which has a lot of helicopter traffic and different things, it was hard to really differentiate whether there was truly something anomalous, which I would be willing to bet there was, given the testimony of different concert goers and people who witnessed this on stage. It was interesting here because this case was such a big thing that the Salt Lake Tribune did an article on it, and it cracked me up. We have the resident person that is an astronomer who weighs in, who's a very lovely man. We've had great conversations before about different things. He's been very open and generous with me, but the Salt Lake Tribune approached him and asked him what it was, and without really looking into the case, he dismissed them as Chinese lanterns that somebody launched. And again, if you guys know me, you know how I freaking feel about the Chinese lanterns thing. It is such a go-to crutch. It's like the skyhook balloons back in the day and all of these things that we've, like the Google-loon balloons that, well, it's another story, but some of these easy excuses that people want to give when maybe they don't have, maybe they're too lazy to really look into it, or maybe they don't have the capability of really stepping back and looking at a situation, really separating themselves from their egos. And I think that's where we run into a lot of trouble, especially in the scientific community, especially, well, in ufology too, so many egos that really hampers all of us from learning and moving forward. So that was another great case that I investigated in Salt Lake City in Utah, along with the October 2nd mass sighting, which is another big case. I've talked about that a lot because these objects are being seen, these white metallic spherical objects are being seen in the daytime. They are being filmed, videotaped all over the world. This is nothing new. They need to be really looked at, and I encourage all of you to not dismiss things. I know you are all open-minded enough. You guys rock. So definitely look at this and look at the commonalities. In the evenings we see the anomalous light phenomena, the red amber spheres. And while yes, 1 in 100 cases could maybe be whatever my favorite thing is, the Chinese lantern. There are ways that Chinese lanterns behave. They don't hover over mountainsides for 45 minutes because the fuel cell would have burned up. They don't behave the way that a lot of these things behave. So get out there, get your video cameras out, learn what the commonalities are. I'm trying to teach you and bring you people that can share information out about that. And I love this. And all of my research has brought me to a place where I've really spent a significant amount of time digging into the Uintah Basin, because this area is world-renowned, because you've got Skinwalker Ranch, which is a really interesting case study. I think, I know that there's important research taking place there now, and I believe that the owner will be very willing when the time comes to share that information to educate us all, and I appreciate that. But there is much, much, much more to the Uintah Basin than Skinwalker Ranch. And I encourage each of you to get a book called The Utah UFO Display, which is a biologist's report. This book is by Dr. Frank Salisbury. Those of you who usually listen, you might, fall asleep on this one, but I've got to tell new people about my experiences. I became aware of Dr. Frank Salisbury, who was a botanist here in Utah and also worked for NASA. I became aware of him really when I became public about my interests in this. He did a groundbreaking book that is the go-to book, in my opinion, on the Uintah Basin. And he worked alongside Junior Hicks, who is in his early 90s now. He is an amazing human being, but he worked alongside Junior to interview witnesses who were having incredible sightings in the Uintah Basin, sightings that were profound, and they were fortunate enough to find a man like Junior Hicks that they could share information with. And Dr. Frank Salisbury, who was a very religious man, was open-minded enough to write a book to dig into this. A few months ago, I went up to the University of Utah and visited the Special Collections Library there. I was informed by my friend Barry Greenwood, and I did some digging, that Frank Salisbury had all of his archives are up at the University of Utah, and I spent days going through all of his personal correspondence with people like Dr. Jacques Vallée, people that he worked with, many names that you would be familiar with. He worked with Dr. Leo Sprinkle. There was the Travis Walton report case from him, and Carl Higdon, many others, along with some of his personal interactions with people who were contactees. Dr. Salisbury thought, and in some of his memos, some of his notes, he felt that he was losing for a time period his objectivity with all of this. And he was wanting to believe, and I believe he felt that maybe he wasn't able to keep one foot grounded. And so it was really a fascinating thing to have this personal insight into such a great man who wrote this incredible book. Before we go to break, I want to read an article from the Salt Lake Tribune. This article was written back in 1966, September 29th, to be exact, to highlight how long this has been going on. This has been going on much longer than 66, but here you go. The article is entitled, "Residents of Vernal Cite Eerie UFOs." Vernal, a long month of eerie visits by bright, soundless, unidentified objects has given the eastern Utah community the jitters. So far, there has been no reports of little green men, and some teenagers have been caught planting phony evidence. But residents are convinced there are just too many people who have seen the objects for it to be a rumor. At night, upwards of 40 residents gather near a cemetery to watch for the lights through binoculars, and they haven't been disappointed. Garth B. Batty first saw the lights September 7th, about 11 p.m., he reported. "I received a phone call from a friend, and we went outside. I saw it about 1.25 miles away on a hill. I looked through the glasses at it, and it seemed as large as a small house. It was dome-shaped with flat railing around it and had windows like apartments, although the object appeared to be capable of fast movement, not bulky like a building. We tried to get closer, but it disappeared." Mr. Batty said he saw the object several times after this. Residents agree it gives out a soft light from within and has a bright colored flashing lights at points around it, but the lights are not always there. There were reports that a depression on the ground with everything burned away in the classic UFO fashion had been found. Investigations showed, however, that high school students with some phosphorescent material had made the depression and burned the foliage. Solid citizens. Sheriff Norman R. Fletcher reported neither he nor his deputies have seen the lights, and he has made no investigations into the sightings. But these are good, solid, reliable citizens reporting, not crackpots or the like. That was a quote from Sheriff Fletcher. A busload of workers also reported the objects. Their descriptions matched those of others in different locales. Local camera buffs are out nights trying to picture the objects, but none has reported any luck so far. So here you have it, an early report way, way, way before Zach Vanek and Skinwalker Ranch was put on the map. I have many other news clippings from this time period, and it is incredible to me to see this. I have files that I have been collecting for a long time. They're very extensive. Some of the files were given to me by Mark Uriarte, who investigated these sightings with Junior Hicks. And in the next segment, I'm going to be reading you two of Junior Hicks' cases in the 1980s in the Uintah Basin. They are incredible cases. And I want to just encourage all of you again to get the Utah UFO display. I have 2 copies of it. The first edition, I'm so stoked, and the later edition, which was amended, and it's truly a good book. I also want to take the opportunity to tell all of you that tonight I want you to call in. I have asked several of my favorite people, my listeners, my supporters, my friends, to call in because I want to hear your experiences. I want to know why you tune in every week, why you care so much about this subject. For those of you who are out there, the call-in number is 702-425-9230. Again, that's 702-425-9230. So please call in, share your experiences, share your thoughts on all of this, the community. I want to hear from you and support you. I also want to definitely give a shout out again to all of my listeners, my friends. Susan, I love communicating with you. And if you want to call in, I'd love to hear from you as well. You can go to my website, which is ufoclassified.com. I do updates every once in a while, but, Tina knows she has to keep track of me. I have articles there along with some things I will be putting on the site, some really important material, thanks to Barry Greenwood, who is the world's foremost archivist and is back right now at the Center for UFO Studies, downloading and scanning all of QFO's files, which is huge. I've been touching base with him every day, and he is above and beyond any human being in this field, has really done more to preserve history, both he and Jan Aldrich. And it's exciting. I can't wait to be able to share some of that with you. And if you ever get a chance to go to Greenwood Archives, I would encourage you to do that, or Jan Aldrich's site, which is Project 1947. These guys are old timers. They have been there. They've seen everything that you can think of, and they are preserving history to carry on the integrity of the subject, or maybe not integrity in some cases. But I'm Erica Lukes. I'm watching you on chat. I would love to sing my favorite Tears for Fears song, but I don't think my pipes are just warmed up for singing. Maybe someday soon. But I do hear there is something on YouTube where you can hear me sing. So you might want to check that out. I'm Erica Lukes. I will be right back. Hope to hear you call in.
Stand by.
This is UFO Classified with Erica Lukes.
Erica Lukes.
The phone lines are open now at 702-425-9230. That's 702-425-9230. Worldwide callers use Skype name KCOR Radio. More UFO Classified.
UFO Classified.
With Erica Lukes on the KCOR Digital Radio Network. After this.
Here's what happened on the last episode of Three Guys, No Ties.
Yes, sir.
Did either one of you watch America's Got Talent?
No. When?
Yesterday.
No. No. Last week, but not
They had this couple on, and they were quick change artists. And the girl's standing there in a dress, they pull it up and drop it, and she's got a different outfit on. And I know these people have to be witches.
Three Guys, No Ties. Wednesday nights, 7 to 9 Pacific on the KCOR Digital Radio Network.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is your captain. I'd like to welcome you on Jackpot Airlines Flight 1610, service to Lost Wages.
They say what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. Well, apparently, they need a reality check done Vegas style.
Vegas, 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 Vegas.
Tune in Wednesday nights, 9 p.m. Pacific, 12 a.m. Eastern, for Reality Check, hosted by Jessica Johns, exclusively on the KCOR Digital Radio Network.
Biggest star in the world, bigger than Britney and Christina put together.
If it's happening on the Vegas Strip, you'll know about it here first.
You are a dirty little fun haver.
Join Jessica Johns as she explores and goes behind the scenes of what's hot and what's not. From the best entertainment Vegas has to offer to national celebrity gossip.
That's crazy. Absolutely crazy.
Jessica has her finger on the heartbeat of the city, and she's waiting to share it with you. Reality Check, hosted by Jessica Johns. Wednesday, 9 p.m. Pacific, 12 a.m. Eastern. She does Vegas right.
Yeah, baby.
Hamilton was adopted from a rescue in 2008. How did you not love him?
Hamilton the Pug's adoption story started at a shelter. Visit theshelterpetproject.org to find a pet near you. Brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
One of the planet's most powerful antioxidant products is here for you to enjoy. Chaga Mushroom Tea. This tea has been used as a potent natural health solution for thousands of years. In fact, the Chinese call it King of the Herbs. The health value alone is worth a look, as Chaga Mushroom Tea packs a punch with pure vitality and smooth energy. It's 100% wild crafted, safe, and effective. Get it now at arcticchaga.com. That's ARCTICCHAGA.com, or call 916-969-2678. That's 916-969-2678. Chaga Mushroom Tea. Chaga Mushroom Tea. Order your supply today.
It's great. I think it's great. It's great.
The all-new KCOR Digital Radio Network.
Great.
Make a note of it.
It's great.
Blue is my favorite color. What's yours?
What's yours?
Red is my favorite color. What's yours?
What's yours?
Well, yeller's sweller for this little feller.
And me, I'm keen on green. So what's your favorite color? Tell us, please.
Kids will spend 20 minutes listening to songs like this.
What's your favorite color? Tell us, please. What's your favorite color? What's your favorite color? What's your favorite color? What's your favorite?
How about 2 minutes to brush their teeth? Brushing for 2 minutes now can save your child from severe tooth pain later. For fun 2-minute videos to watch while brushing, visit 2min2x.org. 2 minutes twice a day. They have the time. A message from the Partnership for Healthy Mouths, Healthy Lives, and the Ad Council.
You're listening to UFO Classified with Erica Lukes, where the truth isn't hidden beneath the black lines of a Sharpie.
That's the craziest thing I've ever heard.
To be on with Erica, call 702-425-9230. That's 702-425-9230. Worldwide callers use Skype name KCOR Radio.
Radio contact.
Share your thoughts on the show on Twitter by using hashtag KCOR. Or head over to the live chats at KCORradio.com.
The audience goes nuts.
And now, your host of UFO Classified.
Are you ready?
Erica Lukes.
Erica Lukes.
Well, welcome back to UFO Classified. I'm happy to be here every week on KCOR Digital Broadcasting Network. However, I just want to throw this out here. I'm going on an adventure next weekend, and so I will be up doing research and interviews in a specific neck of the woods that I happen to be talking about tonight. So I will not be doing a live show, but will play one of my favorites. So tune in, get into chat. I'll be checking chat and I look forward to telling you all about my adventures. I will also, if you are out in Michigan, I will be speaking at the Michigan UFO Con September 22nd with my friend Nick Redfern. I have not seen Nick for a long time, and needless to say, we're both pretty excited to see each other and hang out, so I can't wait. On that note, I also want to tell you that I will be having people call in. I would like all of you to call in. Hopefully we can get to all of you. I want to hear your sightings. I want to hear your interests and why this is such an important subject to you. I feel, as I always state, that in the UFO community there is so much dysfunction and disinformation, especially right now. There's a lot of disinformation going on, so be careful who you listen to. In fact, pretty much don't listen to anyone. But I think I know it's great that we have a community here of listeners with integrity that understand there's a lot of garbage going on in the field. There's my cat Lewis, who's about ready to jump on my leg. So if you hear me screaming, you'll totally understand that I'm there's a situation going on here. But on that note, I also, before I get into reading this, want to throw this out there because over the past couple weeks, we've seen an audio tape that was released of a private conversation that was secretly recorded and illegally recorded and given out to be played. I think that is something of concern. I also want to say that there's a person who has been very proud about flying his little drone over Skinwalker Ranch and posting the video, even though he's been asked not to because it's private property, and he doesn't seem to care. I find this type of behavior really reprehensible, and I want to say that people like this really are the reasons why this subject isn't taken seriously. We can't have this kind of behavior. It's unprofessional. It's not needed. And that is my opinion on things. So there you have it. But on that note, we're going to take a little journey back to the place that I will be next week and doing, again, video interviews, talking to people. I've been establishing relationships for a long time. I want to go back and read a case from April 21st, 1984. It took place in Roosevelt, Utah, so fairly close to the ranch. And this is a report from Mark Uriarte and Junior Hicks. It states, the event occurred late Saturday night, April 21st, 1984 at 1 a.m. in Roosevelt, Utah. There were two witnesses, one an 18-year-old and one a 12-year-old. Witnesses were watching television, The Late Show, which comes in on Channel 10 from the relay translator station near Bluebell, Utah. The antenna is a colored TV, all-channel antenna pointing to the west above the family home. It is a 19-inch zenith colored TV. The event occurred 18 and a half hours prior to another family's sighting about 2 blocks east of this second sighting. The kids' parents were asleep in bed during the event. At 1 a.m., the TV began to make a static sound. Lines and dots appeared on the TV screen. And I just have to pause here and say that kind of just gives me a little shudder because I've had some interesting things going on in my environment like that as of late. The older brother was closer to the set. He reached over to turn it off. Sometimes the TV would turn on and off then, and the picture clears up. But this time when he attempted to turn the TV back on, the knob gave out electrical sparks that shot up into his hand and made his arm numb. His hand dropped away from the knob. As they watched the TV screen started to brighten up. At first it was cloudy and then it became very clear, and on the screen appeared a scene like the inside of a room. Inside this room, there were 3 beings standing, dressed all in some kind of robes. I actually have one of the drawings two of the drawings actually. The figure in the center was standing by what looked like some kind of pulsating energy source, giving out lightning-like flashes and red pulsating light. The person's robe was dark blue with lighter blotches on it. The person on the right of the screen was also dressed in a robe, except a lighter blue color. This person was standing on what appeared to be a platform and holding a rod in one hand. The person to the left of the screen was standing near some kind of control panel and was manipulating knobs and buttons. The control panel would give out a beeping noise like a computer sound. This person, also dressed in a robe, reaching the floor with sleeves reaching near the hands. The trim of the robe appeared to have a very curious design, almost like cryptic writing. The one hand could be seen. There were 3 fingers appearing that were displayed as the person manipulated the controls. The skin color of all 3 figures was a pale yellow. No hair on the heads could be seen. 2 vertical slits for nostrils, eyes unblinking like snake eyes. Their mouths had no lips, but only narrow slits, a hole where the ears should be. The center figure moved towards the screen until the face took up most of the screen. The snake-like eyes could be seen very clearly. The pupil was blue. The area around the pupil was green with white around this. At this point, the witnesses became frightened, for it appeared that the figures were watching and could observe them. They could see the figure on the left appear to talk to the others by moving his mouth, but they could hear no sound. As the witnesses touched the screen with their hands, sparks would come off the screen and cause their hands to be numb. At this action, the central figure would back away from the screen. When this would happen, the figure on the left would adjust the controls. During this time, the older brother saw the color segmented beam of light, which appeared to be a rainbow coming from the ceiling and striking the TV set. He attempted to touch the beam, but the beam appeared to pass through his hand, and he could not feel anything. In the background of the screen, there were 2 things that looked like portals, round in appearance, with blinking purple lights in them. After about 5 minutes, the picture faded away. The older brother ran outside the house and saw an object moving from the top of the house. At the same time, he observed the color segmented beam of light move from the home to the object. The object was described at about 30 feet in diameter, triangular shaped with blue lights on the bottom and a greenish overall in color. The object moved rapidly through the clouds. By the time the younger boy came out, he could see a faint glow. Wow. This is truly a stunning report, and this is unlike many other reports that have been collected by Joseph Jr. Hicks over the years. Incredible, incredible things. And this is one man who has worked his whole life archiving this area, and really both he and Frank Salisbury are the reason that Skinwalker Ranch is even on the map. It is these 2 incredible people. Here is another report from the files dated August 4th, 1984. There were 5 or 6 of us, and this is written from the witness's handwriting, his point of view. There were 5 or 6 of us, about 8 to 10 years old each. We were sleeping outside on our back lawn about 7 miles northwest of Roosevelt, Utah, for my brother's birthday party. We were chatting when we spotted a triangle object, maybe 30 to 40 feet above ground, moving almost, if not due east. I'm not sure I could accurately state the size, but maybe 20 to 30 feet across. It moved incredibly slowly, probably 3 to 5 miles per hour. It may have made a noise, but it was barely audible. It had 3 landing pods and some pipes and other apparatus protruding from the rear. The rear section was rather dark, emitting no light, but from the top shone a light blue glow, somehow seeming cold. I remember seeing the object straight overhead, barely moving the rear, when I sensed or heard had a strange blank. I don't remember seeing the object in the east, seeing it later on, but this well may have been an illusion put upon myself. I just don't want to fool myself. I don't know. I regret not writing it down when the event happened. And so he's talking about an event that happened in his childhood and was writing it down and giving it to Junior Hicks later. But again, here's another stunning case of the really odd things that happen in this area. And it's just amazing. I can't believe it. I mentioned when I began the show that last week I did an interview with a mother and son that I have been working with for half a decade. They have been in this area for a long, long time and have experienced some pretty profound things. The mother was talking last week. We were talking and celebrating her mother's life, a woman who passed away last year, and I was fortunate enough to have a beautiful 2-day interview with her. And last week, the mother and grandson mentioned a specific time when the grandmother was out and had a missing time experience. And now I'm going to ask Tina to roll the first interview because I want you to hear her voice and hear her describe the events.
And we'd had company apparently because it was Kai was scared to death, and it was different.
Yeah, that's interesting. Excuse me.
God bless you.
Thank you. Where did you get that?
Oh, I don't know. I can't remember too much about that. I do remember it was Kai that was with us. That's what confuses me because it affected the dog so much. Well, that's just starving. Dad was up on the hill getting wood, and it just was another one of those times is all I can say.
And so
it's like we'd been gone for a long time. It was a missing time, as I guess you'd call it, because
did you get dressed and come right down, or did you wait a while?
Anyhow, I come home and told the kids about it.
And so to hear her voice, it gives me the chills because she had several sightings, many sightings where she recalls having missing time. And in one particular story that she recounted, she was with her grandson, and the grandson, they were getting in bed and they saw this whirling light, and were very frightened. And the grandson just said, "Grandma, what do I do? What do I do?" And she said, "It'll be okay. Just go to sleep." And that was her way. She had been through this since she could really first remember. She remembers having a sighting and experiences at the age of 3. So these sightings were with her. She had many profound healing experiences, she believed, with the entities that would come in and collect blood from her. She described, and this is so highly unusual. I don't think I've ever heard of a case like this, and if you have, please bring this to my attention. But she recalls having visits by these entities that had helmets on. They were human-looking creatures, smaller. They were dressed in burgundy attire. But they would bring in, when she was going through a time where she was sick, they brought in this machine that she called the Godhead. And there was a head in the machine that was hooked up to her and healed her. Now, this is so out there and so different. It's been, I know that this was very hard for her to come to terms with and to be brave enough to talk about this. It's incredible. I want Tina now, before we go to break, to play the childhood clip to give you an understanding of how she felt as a child.
Do you remember telling your mom, or was it just something that was understood without you talking about it?
Well, every time I would go to tell my mother and my dad, I was really distant with my dad over that for a long time because I needed to talk to somebody. And my mom was very acceptable, but she didn't want to talk about it, you know. But she did agree with me that she saw, you know. So mother was good, because I'm sure I'm not the only one that's went to her with that problem, because there were 7 of us. And she never told me not to talk to anybody about it, but you just don't talk about it, or you'd be better off. And you stop and think about it. What I've told you, you know that I would be better off not saying anything. I was better off not to even mention that. So it's just something I've lived with, and it's mine and mine alone, and it's kind of nice too.
You were so wonderful to share this with me. I think it's important for people.
Well, you know,
it's important to know.
They are not here to hurt us. Because had they been here to hurt me, they'd have surely done it a long time ago. They didn't hurt me. They never hurt me when they came to me. And even with taking the blood from me, I never felt it like I did when I went to the hospital. Yeah. And that's what I was thinking. So, and in this big machine, there was this head that was in there, a godly head. This was what has always confounded me. This has been something that's been there. What? Maybe I'm just not going quite deep enough. And if I'm not, I'm going to find out, and I will. And if I ever do, I'll tell you.
Yeah. It was just in this box, and it was just...
And wow, I remember my grandmother saying the same type of thing to me. And it's just really moving. She was a great woman. Again, this has been one of the highlights of my time in the field, is to get to know this brave family and to hear their sightings that run the gamut. There's so many things that happen. And you know that there are many other families out there who have had these experiences. And as the grandmother said, 93 when she passed away, it is so difficult to come to terms with this personally, but then when you reach out and try to talk to family members or, anybody in the community or, somebody in the church, just any organization, wherever you can reach out, and you are met with skepticism, disbelief, ridicule, it's a shame. And I hope that now we're coming to to a better place where we can share this and find a cohesive environment that actually protects people, that supports people, empowers people. This is too important. This has happened for too long, and each of us deserves respect, as do these people. I love it. I love it. I love it. There's so much more to this interview, and I will be working with my friend, my colleague, my videographer, who has been with me many different places to interview different people. I've got a great interview with Steve Bassett, Nick Redford, of course, one of my favorite interviews, and other people in the field and this family. Matt and I are going to be going up and videotaping more witnesses and putting together a documentary that we will be putting out there, because I definitely feel we need to have people in the state who are researchers, who care about the people in the community, and who aren't going to come in and do a hit and run and then leave a community just kind of stupefied and trying to deal with publicity and all of these different things that we're seeing now. Last week, the Sun mentioned the fact that Ancient Aliens, all the vans were up there near Skinwalker Ranch doing stories, and all of these other people are coming in there, and I hope that they will interview and take into account some of the research by local people, and also they understand what it means to how this impacts the community after they are gone. If anybody in the community out there is listening, please feel free to message me on Facebook, get me information. I'm here for you, as are others in Utah. We are a support system, and I'm incredibly proud to be from this state where we have some of the most profound sightings in the world. So I love it. And on the next segment, I'm going to play one more little interview with her about some missing time, but then I'm opening up the phone lines. We have got people. Amy is in Skype. I know where we will talk to her and hopefully Irv and other people. Share your sightings with me. Share your feelings. And I am Erica Lukes. Happy to be here on KCOR. Stick around, because we've got a great segment that highlights all of you. I'll be right back.
Listen very carefully. This is Houston. Say again, please. Houston, we've had a problem.
This is UFO Classified, live every Friday night, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, exclusively on the KCOR Digital Radio Network. The truth is out there, just waiting to be discovered.
And now, if you will, accompany me on a journey to the future.
For more information on the host of UFO Classified, Erica Lukes, upcoming guests, as well as links to the past shows,
visit her website at ufoclassified.com.
UFO Classified.
UFO Classified.
This is KCOR Las Vegas, home of the Digital Radio Network, broadcasting from a shack just south of Area 51.
Wait, that doesn't exist.
This is the KCOR Digital Radio Network. Now for the news.
This landed at a ranch at Corona, New Mexico. The rancher turned it over to the Air Force. Rancher W.W. Brazell was the man who discovered the saucer.
What I thought was a star began coming in my direction at a very rapid rate of speed.
The unidentified object, which some sources thought might be a blimp, moved slowly down the Pacific coast from Santa Monica and disappeared south of Long Beach.
I saw a UFO, and it went down the river, turned right at the United Nations, turned left, and then down the river.
UFO Classified.
UFO Classified.
No more plausible deniability. Fact, fiction, or the truth. You decide. And now, the new voice of the high desert, the hostess of UFO Classified, Erica Lukes.
Welcome back. I'm Erica Lukes, and I am excited to talk to my peeps. And I've got Irv on the phone, and I'm going to get to him in a moment. And then Amy, thank you for calling in. I really adore all of you. I want to finish up just this final segment, by playing just a little bit more of my interview that I conducted 5 years ago with a family in the Uintah Basin, which they are very close to Skinwalker Ranch, lifetime full of sightings. And the grandmother talked about a sighting, an experience that she had that was really, really incredible. And when I first talked to the grandson who was on my show last week, he mentioned this to me, and this just hit every button in my playbook. And so here I'm going to have Tina play this. This is the grandmother talking about an experience that she had where she was out collecting arrowheads, rock hounding. So Tina, please play that for me.
They had left me alone, and they came. The plane, the whole thing came, and I guess it was at that time. But anyhow, I had burns on me, and they were little round spots, blue and red, little round spots on my body. And I went to the doctor. By the time I got an appointment with my doctor and went to my doctor, I only had 2 or 3 left on me. They would just go away, and you couldn't see where there was anything. But when he looked at them and he examined me, he said, "Well, I don't know what they are, but they are probably fallout." And he said, "I don't know where you've been." And I told him where I'd been. He said, "Well, that's the only thing I can figure is that it is fallout or something else." But in a day or two, the other 3, there were 3 of them was gone. But I have a kernel in this side of my knee.
In your right knee.
And where is that other one? Every once in a while I find myself picking on it.
I loved her so much. I have, again, I have all of this on video. It's exceptional, thanks to Matt Hepworth, and I have photos of this bump underneath her skin on her knee. And I walked around the grounds where reportedly an object had landed and burned an impression on the ground. It was incredible. And this interview last week, and then remembering my time with this family, it reignited that passion and the love I have for this subject that is different from all of the absolute crap in the field that I have seen, the dysfunctional behavior, the disinformation. I know why. I remember again why I do this. I do this because of our experiences. I do this because this is the most profound and important thing I will ever do. And all of us are in this together. And I have networked and met some amazing people. And one of those people is on the line right now. He is an artist. He has been researching and looking into UFOs for a long, long time and has sent me several of his pieces of art. And I am so honored. Irv, how's it going?
Hi, Erica. It's going great.
Good. Are you staying out of trouble?
Oh, absolutely. It's always a wonderful day when I get to talk to you.
Well, thank you.
By the way, I'm only a recent arrival on the art scene. I really consider myself to be more of a scientist than an artist. I took up art about 7 years ago after I retired. But, I've worked in the aerospace engineering field for a long time.
Well,
actually, I started.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, there goes my doorbell.
Oh.
Oh no. I'm just going to have to ignore them.
I'd ignore, you know. I like your doorbell, though.
The front door, but they'll go away. Or wait a minute, I can walk and talk to you at the same time. Hang on. Anyway,
this is real life right here. This is just, it. This is like my cat getting ready to claw my arm off.
I have never seen a UFO. You know, I've always been fascinated by them for as long as I can remember, and but I've never seen one. I used to lay out under the stars at night when I was a kid, and but never saw anything. You know, and anybody that does a little stargazing, surely they're gone. Surely knows that it's got to wonder about whether we're the only one in this universe. Anyway, I guess as a brief intro on how I got interested in the subject, it started out when I was a kid. Are you still there, Erica?
Yes, I am. I'm here.
Okay. Yeah, I remember watching this movie called A Thing from Another World, black and white, and that movie just scared the dickens out of me. And but you know, this flying saucer comes in, lands at the North Pole or South Pole. I don't remember which one. Anyway, I kind of got interested in the subject, and when I was growing up, I remember on rare occasions we'd hear stories on the news about someone had seen a flying saucer, unidentified object, and I actually remember Look magazine when it came out with a story on UFOs. My parents got Look magazine, and I think Marilyn Monroe was on the cover. But
that was a great magazine. I just have to throw this in there. I've added some to my library, and I have the time when the Kennedy assassination occurred, and there was actually an edition with Rosemary's Baby. I just wanted to throw that in there because it was a great magazine.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, for me, the whole UFO thing kind of took on a whole new dimension back in the late 1970s, and I'm not sure, maybe early 80s, when I saw this show called UFOs Are Real. In that show, it's produced by a guy named Brandon Chase, and he had a lot of the, Stanton Freeman, Travis Walton. He had interviews with all these well-known people in the show. It was a changer. And one of the things that really spurred my interest was the interview that Stanton did with Jesse Marcel. And I know everybody's seen that interview. I guess where Jesse and Stanton are out walking around the desert, and he's talking about finding this material. Well, that was to me that was a major event in ufology, and since then it's like there's been an explosion of things on TV to watch about UFOs. I watch them all. I've watched them all numerous times, and I just find it all fascinating. I'm really fascinated by the possibility of how these things might move, travel at warp speed, and all that from an engineering point of view. How does one warp gravity, space, time, and cause all this motion? But anyway, I've like I said, I've been interested in it. I still am interested in it. Very much interested in seeing somebody get a UFO database accessible to other people that are interested in the subject that can be used for scientific purposes, like what I call data mining. Might be a better description would be data correlation to find similarities between various events, observations and stuff. But
isn't that what MUFON's doing?
In what?
Isn't that what MUFON's doing? I'm just kidding.
No. You know, and that's how I got in. That was my introduction into MUFON. I went to the meeting and they were talking about this, and I said, "Oh, okay, let me donate some money to that cause." And I wrote a nice check, and they said, "Well, you're now a member of MUFON." So I started going to meetings, but you know, that's how I met you. Actually, I was given your name as a contact for all this information, and you know, I still have nothing. And anyway, so it's been a interesting trip. Still interested in it. I'm not interested in MUFON much anymore, but oh well, that's their loss.
Exactly. Yes, it is, and they've lost a lot of good people.
Yeah, you do a wonderful job. I want everybody to know they should appreciate the job that you do. You really do a wonderful job in your interviews with people and getting people to open up and talk about things. You're a pro at that. Let me tell you.
Thank you. I love it. I mean, this is like I could do this all day because I love hearing people's experiences, and I love it's just been a joy to meet
maybe someday I'll have a real experience where I've seen something that might be a flying saucer, but I'm ready for it.
Well, maybe tonight's your night.
It's raining.
Oh, dang it. All right, then. Well, maybe you could, see something through the TV, like that case report
the
from...
best time is on a cold winter's night, out somewhere out in the desert somewhere. Maybe I need to come out to Utah and go stargazing or something. I don't know.
I would love it.
We have too much light pollution around here to do much anymore. But it's always fun.
Isn't it cool? I mean, even if I don't see something anomalous, I love learning about, geography and astronomy and all of these things. It's been a great learning process. And it's made my art better. How do you feel? Because you started art about the same time I did.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
7 years ago? Oh, okay. What about art now?
Well, I feel... For me, when I really started painting, and of course I was painting clouds and skies and different things. Yeah. I mean, it was almost a therapeutic way for me to deal with or process some of the things that I experienced in my life.
Yeah, that, and I have nothing experienced.
Well, that's true, but you've got really good art. I love it.
Anyway, to me, it all gives me a sense of accomplishment. It's nice when somebody likes something that I've done, but hey, I do it for myself. Kind of a selfish thing, but
I have to tell you, the portrait that you did of me is hanging in my UFO library.
Well, very
which
good.
I've
made a lot of progress since I last.
I love it. I love it.
I tried to draw a picture of you.
Oh my gosh, I love it. It means the world to me, and I've got it, just hanging there. And I've had several really cool researchers, big researchers, come into the library and check it out and see your painting, and so it's awesome. You're a part of the library.
Well, it's a hit and miss thing with me. Sometimes I can draw somebody and I say, "Oh, I really captured them at this time," and a lot of times it's just try again.
People are hard. You do an excellent job.
Well, thank you very much, and I'm glad you have somebody else online to talk to you, so that I don't have to try to talk the whole time.
Well, thank you for calling in. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. I will touch base with you soon.
To call in, when you had that other guy on, what was his name? Was talking about the database.
Oh boy!
A couple weeks ago, yeah.
Let me think here.
I would have liked to chat with him because I have some ideas on how to go about setting up a database that one could find useful that wouldn't take up so much memory.
Yeah, that would be good. And I mean, it's the database and all of that is just a whole thing, and we'll have to talk about it and come up with some ideas. But thank you for calling in. I'm going to message you this week.
Do a little brainstorming if anybody's interested.
The what? I'm sorry, you cut out a little bit.
I said I would be available if anybody wanted to share ideas.
Perfect. On Facebook?
Whatever.
Okay.
Facebook or Messenger or whatever.
Okay, Irv Brock, yeah, reach out and we'll get some things going. And thank you so much for calling in. And I will we'll touch base.
It was fun.
Yeah, thank you.
It's been real fun. Thank you.
Stay out of trouble. Go find the person who rang your doorbell.
Hang up and turn my radio back on.
Okay. I will talk to you soon, my friend. Have a good night.
Bye.
So I love it. I love Irv. I will take a screenshot of his beautiful painting that I'm honored to have in my library. And thank you for calling, Irv. I want to now, hopefully Amy is still there. Amy is another listener and somebody who is brilliant. The ideas that she shares with me, some of the conversations that we have, I absolutely learned so much. So Amy, are you still there?
Good evening, Erica.
How are you?
Excellent. And I don't know where you wanted to go exactly tonight, but I did want to tell my sighting story, and I wanted to tell about that line of hotspots.
Let's do it.
That I had found. Okay. Well, I'll start off with my little story because you'd said that you were looking into a case that looked very similar to mine. And it began in 2015, March of 2015. It's a nice, crisp March morning. And I'm looking out my west window and just having my coffee. And right in the trees, right where the branches meet the sky, the upper branches of the tree, I see this flickering red and white light. It's like a strobe light. And it's just right out of nowhere. And I thought, is this some kid's balloon or, just something silly that I just happened to be seeing the reflection of. And it moves a little bit closer. And it's moving, and I notice it's moving right kind of towards my house, actually. And it makes its way over nearer the driveway is, and by that point, I figured I better get a picture of this. So I run into the bureau and start rummaging around to get the camera and, get the batteries in it and everything else. And I'm going, I have to hurry. I'm wasting time here. And I make it outside and I snap pictures of it. And I didn't want to have the window interfere with it. I was, thinking ahead. And I snap pictures of it and I feel a little bit more relaxed, like, okay, at least now I have some kind of evidence here. And it goes off. I first see it in the west and it goes off to the northwest. And when it does that, I'm like, well, that's over with. That, I was kind of almost disappointed for a second, but then I look off to where the first one had appeared, and there was a second one flashing red and white. Here it comes. Here comes another one. Followed the same path, goes out, to the northwest again, and just before that one disappeared into the northwest, I noticed that the one that just newly appeared one had just appeared in the west again, and it just kept on going around like that. Where I had 5 of them that day that I saw that were all doing that, all the same path, all the same basic kind of description of the flashing red and white, and they almost looked like they might had an odd tetrahedral shape when they got really close. But of course, when I came back inside and I checked what I had gotten on the camera, connected up to the USB and loaded it up, I was actually kind of disappointed. I mean, here is this, kind of a gray dot, maybe 1 pixel wide. And and since there were multiple shots, luckily I got one where it was kind of red. And, well, it's about 1 pixel wide. So I was really, really disappointed in how that had went. And it's like in person, and actually see it with your eyes. It was 10 times more spectacular than anything the digital camera showed. But being beautiful about it and everything, of course, I made a MUFON report and told him everything, and he checked it out. And he ran FlightAware and, determined, no, there were no planes in my area. Nothing was going on with that. He checked the prevailing winds. The prevailing winds were actually coming from the northwest to the southeast, exactly opposite the path this thing was taking on its way out, or all 5 of them were taking on their way out. And so that it wasn't a balloon. It certainly wasn't anything astronomical. And it wasn't a plane, and it was also dead silent. So it just baffles my mind is, what was that? What did I just see? Was it some kind of experimental super silent drone with a bunch of flashing lights on it? But 5 of them? And how did it disappear? How did it seemingly appear out of nowhere, out of just a spot in the sky where it would start flickering? And when it disappeared, it would it would start fading, obviously, but then all of a sudden, that's how fast, a snap, from being visible to not being visible. And the only other little anomalous thing about the whole thing is the guy who trims my trees had just pulled up right as the last one had left, and he's getting out of his truck, and I pointed, to the sky right when he's getting out, and I said, "Do you see that? Do you see that?" He's like, he's looking real hard, and it's right as it's fading out at that point. And, "No, I don't see it," but he admitted his eyesight's wasn't all that good and everything like that. So, well, that's how that went.
And did you have? Because I've had sightings like that. I remember one in particular. I was looking. I was outside. It was a rainy evening. It was absolutely beautiful, and I saw just the orange, the typical orange orb, but it was less than a mile away. And I sat there just trying to process it. Okay, it's not a Chinese lantern. Clearly it's raining. That wouldn't work. It's not, there are no navigation lights. And I ran inside and tried to get every piece of equipment that I could to come out there. And every time I'd go out there, everything was dead. And it was just like, oh my God. But I did get a little bit in there. This object literally ejected something and then another something. And they were moving, forming a vertical line, a horizontal line. It was incredible. And I know that we're getting ready to take a break. And Amy, I'm excited because I think that I know you've got other things, including some new thoughts on things. So I will be right back with our last segment. I'm Erica Lukes here with Amy. This is KCOR. Stick around. We will be right back.
Stand by.
This is UFO Classified with Erica Lukes.
Erica Lukes.
The phone lines are open now at 702-425-9230. That's 702-425-9230. Worldwide callers use Skype name KCOR Radio. More UFO Classified.
UFO Classified.
With Erica Lukes on the KCOR Digital Radio Network. After this.
1 million miles till midnight. A story of timelines, artificial worlds, simulated races, and the galactic imprint, and the destiny of a blue world called Earth. 1 million miles till midnight, written by Solaris Blue Raven, is a journey through the mind's eye which allows the reader to surf a wave of technological and multidimensional intellect, revealing a bridge between conscious design and the truth. A multidimensional bleed-through awakens the world of artificial intelligence to set sail into the frontiers of a vast multiverse, morphing planets and terraforming ascended worlds beyond the linear programs of a fated race. 1 million miles till midnight will awaken, inspire, prepare, and enlighten one to the many multidimensional states of consciousness and worlds we reside in. With every cell and atom, we are this truth and multiverse. 1 million miles till midnight. Written by Solaris Blue Raven. Available now at Amazon.com. Don't wait. Get your copy today.
It's great. I think it's great. It's great.
The all-new KCOR Digital Radio Network.
Great. Make a note of it. It's great.
If ever a breed was affectionate to a fault, it's the Golden Retriever. They're people dogs, pure and simple. And the Golden Retriever Rescue of Southern Nevada needs your help. If you would like to volunteer, foster, adopt, or donate, go to the Golden Retriever Rescue of Southern Nevada's website at grrsn.org. That's grrsn.org. Or call 598-GOLD. That's 598-GOLD.
There is a world outside that which we live in, a realm where fact and fiction collide. The Paradigm Matrix. The Paradigm Matrix. Hosted by Willie Miranda. Every Friday night at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern.
The Matrix is everywhere. It is all around us, even now in this very room.
The 1 hour show that will surely leave you hanging on the edge of the rabbit hole. The Paradigm Matrix explores a universe of topics from UFOs, cryptozoology, conspiracies, as well as all things paranormal.
Enter a world of the twisted and deformed.
Friday night, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. The Paradigm Matrix. Exclusively on the KCOR Digital Radio Network, where fact and fiction collide.
You're listening to
UFO Classified with Erica Lukes, where the truth isn't hidden beneath the black lines of a Sharpie.
That's the craziest thing I've ever heard.
To be on with Erica, call 702-425-9230. That's 702-425-9230. Worldwide callers use Skype name KCOR Radio.
Radio contact.
Share your thoughts on the show on Twitter by using hashtag KCOR. Or head over to the live chats at KCORradio.com.
The audience goes nuts!
And now, your host of UFO Classified.
Are you ready?
Erica Lukes.
Erica Lukes.
Welcome back for the final segment of UFO Classified. I will not be doing a live show next week, as I will be out in the Uintah Basin conducting interviews and getting out there with my night vision goggles and seeing what I can drum up. It'll be a fun time, and in the next few weeks I've got some travels to Canada to record a new TV show, which will be fun, and also my trip to Michigan to speak in September with my friend Nick Redfern at the Michigan UFO Con. So I look forward to that. It'll be a great time. If you are in the area, please join me. I am joined now by one of my colleagues, my friends, listener of the show, supporter of the show, Amy. And she was telling us about her interesting, really odd sighting that has still perplexed her. And Amy, just tell us more about that, or how what really inspired you to get involved with this?
I was actually inspired a long time earlier, and there goes, sorry about that. It was just a little minor distraction. You know how Dinah is, and she has to come check out whenever anybody makes a Skype noise.
Oh, dear. Well, between Dinah and my cat Lewis.
Lewis, yeah. I was actually involved with this long before. In fact, it was kind of awkward, when I got the call from their investigator, and I think he did ask at one point if I had any previous knowledge, and I'm like, oh yeah. I didn't really want to get into it because that would just open up a whole nother, 10 stories that I would have to try to piece together for him. And so I just left that out of it. I just said, yeah, I did have some previous knowledge. And I'm just, and he was, I didn't even want to, I was very careful in my wording. I didn't want to say, oh, I know that's an ET. Because to this day, I don't know what it is. It could be anything. But I know what it wasn't. And that's the typical thing when anybody has a sighting. They go through the whole checklist of going, oh, it's not a plane, it's not a star, it's not. They go through 10 different things down their checklist. It's just kind of a natural thing to do. I just know what it wasn't. I did have some other experiences where I've seen planes in the sky that had the wrong lights on the wrong side. How they have the red and green on the starboard and port side of a plane, and when you have them backwards, well, if that were an actual plane, they could get in a heck of a lot of trouble with the FAA for that. Big fines, maybe even lose their pilot's license. Who knows? But it's not good. And yet, what are they doing flying up in the sky? And I've seen those a couple times actually. I've had sightings on the ground where something was just like this big flashing pinkish, fluorescent pink light on the side of the road, just whoosh, flash, 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 flash. And then I, turned to the person who's driving and I'd say, oh, you see that? And you look back and you see what? And then it would flash, 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 10 seconds later.
Wow.
I mean, I've had numerous little sighting experiences, and I don't want to get into all the deep childhood stuff here. I'll save that for a later show.
Okay. Yeah. You've had some pretty heavy stuff.
But I just wanted to leave you with that and leave you with the sighting because I knew you'd be interested in it because you said you'd had a very similar kind of case you were working on at one point. And of course, I can get you all that information again with their report number and blah, 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 the CMS number and all that.
Awesome. And, we've both had conversations because and I want, what is we've talked about this privately, but what is your take on what the intentions are of whatever this is interacting with us? Do you think that this is malevolent, benevolent, indifferent?
I would say, I wouldn't say it's malevolent. I would say that there's plenty of them out there that are deleterious. I guess that's a good adjective for it. I guess to certain people, they can, like my stepdad, who I'll just use a non-PC term and just say, yeah, he's an abductee. And they did things that messed with his dreams and messed with his whole life and his whole worldview about things and kind of just shattered it. He was not a happy camper about when he saw pictures of him on TV or wherever, he'd start crying. And, it's really hard to see a grown man, 46 years old, just sitting there crying when he sees something come on the TV that has an alien base, because that's right when that started to get popular, when he was first telling me about that. But then I've heard people that had really good experiences. I just don't know. Are we dealing with more? You get into the banality of, are we dealing with more than one group? Are some of them nice, some of them not so nice? Is it all based on the perspective of who has the experience? I mean, there's a whole bunch of different ways you can take it. So I would try to withhold judgment on saying, oh, evil aliens. But there's plenty of material out there if you want to go that direction. I mean, very credible material. And there's stuff on both sides.
There is, and it's been interesting to me, and I'm having a hard time figuring out in all of this how to define credible material.
Well, there's no easy way to do that. You have to kind of go case by case, get to know the person, get to know everything about, other aspects of their life. Where their head was at when they had the sighting. Were they going through something traumatic outside of that sighting? Were they going through something where they were in the process of moving? And I don't want to steal anyone's idea, but there's that idea of liminality, of having an in-between state in your life when some of these things happen. When you have these sightings, it's never when everything is just, hunky-dory and perfect, usually. Just completely stable. I mean, you look at the kind of person who has that kind of stable life, and they're often the same kind of people who are going to say, oh, I've never seen anything like that, or I don't believe anything like that. And so there's a certain aspect that comes with that, and it's something to consider.
And I've got a question, Patty, who's always in chat, and I get to see in Michigan. I'm so excited, but she wants to know: do you think that they are spiritual, interdimensional ET? I mean, I think you kind of touched on that with your last answer, but give us a little bit more on your own personal feelings.
There seems to be an interdimensional aspect, as in anything that can, in the snap, come in and out, or go out and in and disappear and do everything. I mean, that would have to imply, if something can disappear like that, what else would it be other than something? I mean, wouldn't some kind of cloaking like that be literally probably some kind of change of state that allows an interdimensional kind of travel? I mean, that would just make sense. That you're dealing with something like that. And that doesn't even rule out the extraterrestrial hypothesis, as in what you can come from anywhere. If you can travel interdimensionally, and you can, the secrets of space-time, and you can do all these other things, why not? Just as likely as anything else, or just as likely as they come from here. I mean, it goes a whole bunch of different directions that you just can't deny any of them until we know a little bit more. But we do know that they can do that. It's proven.
And you know what I think is interesting, and I have just been doing a little research into this, is when and how the extraterrestrial hypothesis first came on the scene. And was that thrown out there to distract us away from what's really going on?
Well, you look back in time, and that's right when all the science fiction and the moon race was going on, all these other things were going on, and they're saying, oh, they're from other planets. They're from Mars. That was like one of the big first spots, in Venus, the contactee movement. And then you go further, and then I think it was about 67 or so, and they first started throwing out the ideas that they might be from another star system. And then you have the whole Zeta Reticuli being built after that. And then some even said intergalactic, or from other star systems that are even further away. And then eventually you got to the point where maybe they're interdimensional. And then you get, come right back to, maybe they've been here all along. I mean, you can just go so many, it's endless possibilities. And I don't like to throw out any of them anymore.
I don't either, but the more I look at it's some of this, specifically the groups, I don't know, that have been kind of pushing us in certain directions. I mean, I think there are political undertones. I think there are some things that have been with us since this first busted onto the scene. And I have to question or look at the people or organizations' motives for promoting certain ideas. And I think a lot of times some of these people that have been involved in the field have purposefully given us disinformation to distract us from the truth.
Well, that's the thing is, that's all I've really ever wanted to know. Why would, if you want to actually get to the truth of something, I mean, it defeats your purpose to have a political agenda or trying to, bolster research for just one specific area. I keep on saying that this is a faceted and disciplinary study that you'd want to start up to really investigate this. I mean, you have to look at even things that are not necessarily even traditionally science. You want to look into different areas of history and sociology, and if you want to have a really good UFO team, you want to have that. You want to have chemists, you want to have physicists, you want to have nuclear physicists, you want to have astronomers, you want to have everybody on that team all looking at it from their angle and with the best data that's available, and that's how you would actually at least start getting some reasonable hypotheses as to what's going on.
Right. And so basically you'd want to involve everybody that's not involved in ufology.
Right. And a lot of these folks in, ufology, bless their hearts, some of them really are working very hard. But at the same time, if you come in without a specialty or an angle, like one of the things I know a lot about is the space program. And so when I start hearing some of these people telling stories about they saw, this or that, or they took this or that picture from a shuttle or from the International Space Station, I'm looking at it and I have all this knowledge about it, and I can go right onto my hard drive and look up that flight report for that particular mission and go, somebody claims to be an astronaut, and I happen to know who is and who isn't. And I'm just sitting there just kind of laughing, going, this is absurd. This has got to go.
Well, and so let's talk about the secret space program.
Oh, my. When you're going to talk about what's the real secret space program, you're talking about satellites. And they launch from, say, Vandenberg Air Force Base. They have secret launches every single year. The shuttle had launches where they wouldn't tell you what the payload was on it. Those were the secret shuttle missions. They had about 6 of those. They had, and when you talk about something as crazy as like a secret space station up there, well, the first obvious question is, how many launches is it going to take? Secret launches is it going to take to assemble one? And then who's going to be, even if you have it being an automated assembly, it's still going to take you 20, 30, 40 launches to build a nice space station. And there's just not that many launches in a year that you can cover up. And they do have a lot of folks that are following these launches very carefully, as far as usually they can tell you not specifically the name of the satellite, but they can usually tell you the general category, the rough weight of it, the rough size, and so on and so forth. And there's just no way you can kind of cover something like that up unless they're using something that's more advanced than rocket technology. But if it's anything close to the conventional like that, there's just no way you're going to have something of the scale that they're describing going on right underneath our noses.
So people haven't been transported to Mars?
Right, unless they have some kind of teleporting device that they've developed that's hundreds of years more advanced than anything we have now. It's just not going to happen. They're certainly not launching people there.
And so the Emery Smith and the wet rooms and this kind of stuff that's come out, which a lot of people are truly following. What are your thoughts?
I don't think that I think there's a good possibility that there are underground bases that we don't know about. That'd be a very good possibility. But when he talks about, hundreds of different samples, and you get into the semantics of how many samples from this or that or the other, and it breaks down into just kind of an absurdity that they would have access to that many samples. But then there's a lot of other things he says that I don't even want to touch it. Just too upsetting, just too absurd, that I don't even want to get into it. But it just all boils down to there is no secret space program outside of, a few satellites here and there. And, sometimes they can piggyback something on a satellite. They could say it's a 2,000-pound satellite and they have a little sub-satellite that, say, maybe weighs 100 pounds or 50 pounds, and it's not a part of the main thing, and maybe it has its own little mission, that they're covering up for obvious reasons of defense or something else they're doing. But there is no secret space program in that way. It just doesn't exist.
And and I'm kind of shocked at how many people are believing things like that without really looking into or questioning people and their backgrounds. I mean, I am stupefied that the public, that people want to believe so desperately things that they're going to be, given stuff that is absolute nonsense, and they'll pay for it. I mean, it's staggering to me. But I mean, what are your feelings? Because you and I both know that there are truly profound and complex things taking place. And I think for me, I feel right now we're at a time when we have the technology that we're beginning to, to gather more information. The public is about this. And I wonder with the United States government, what our motivations are. I mean, I think the Tom DeLonge thing to the stars, that's been great. I think they're trying to get information out there, and they've lent credibility to the subject. And, there we have the wild ones in the background again. But I wonder, at what point are we trying to frighten people and take their power away from them?
Well, it doesn't even take necessarily a UFO to do that. I mean, you're looking at this latest bit about, the accusations of Russia having a satellite that was somehow being a menace to us, and raising a massive budget for a new space force and so on and so forth. But we had that kind of thing going on with secret prowling satellites, almost 30 years ago now. And it's like they're not doing anything that we haven't done already, but we're, pointing at them now, and, just to, get people upset and, boost the budget and so on and so forth.
Oh, and isn't that interesting?
The perfect thing, of course, would be to simultaneously spread both a conventional threat, talking about menacing satellites, and then for all the people that aren't into that, talk about menacing aliens. And I mean, no matter, you can't lose when you do kind of a shotgun approach like that. I think that's what they might be trying.
And so what do you think about To the Stars? Good, bad?
I think it had good intentions. I think they did a lot of missteps early on, and I have the best, I wish them all the best, but I don't see anything really productive happening, and everything just gets delayed, and I guess be patient.
Which is challenging, and I think a lot of people, I've said this before, a lot of people in the UFO community don't understand what it takes to run a business or how much funding is needed, and everybody's complaining about, oh, Tom DeLonge's making this and that and blah, blah, blah. And I don't really think that's the case. And so, but who knows? But I always think it's important to, just make sure that we are empowering ourselves, because at the end of the day, it is our own personal experiences that are the most important.
Sure, certainly. And that's what we really want to keep recording, keep investigating, keep looking at, and keep focusing, our eye on the ball, on the truth, and let everything else is going to happen anyway.
I want to have you back on the show, though, because there was another question.
We've got to visiting us no matter what we do. They're going to be around.
Exactly. And so I've got a couple questions. I can only get one in, but what do you think about the reports of the black satellite?
Oh, geez. Not that again. Well, firstly, I've seen pictures from the shuttle, and one of them, it really was a tile. I mean, you can get the high-resolution versions of these things, and there's a whole bunch of videos that would go into it, and it's became one of those cases. What a tangled web we weave, for the people that actually came up with this, and it goes back to a time. It would take a whole show to do a proper.
Okay, well, then how about let's plan it.
All right.
Yay!
We'll be back to that.
Sweet. Well, I'll message you, and then we'll get that question answered and much, much more. We've got to close the show out, but Amy, thank you so much for being here. I really enjoy our conversations. You have a lot to offer, and Irv and everyone out there, thank you for your questions. And Doug, I want to thank you for your kind comments and supporting the shows, Northern UFOs, all of you. You really you mean a lot to me, and I love being here and seeing your questions and pursuing all of this, even if I have to deal with a few special spirits, but that's okay. I will be here. I won't be here next week. I will be posting pictures on Instagram and Facebook, UFO Classified, about my trip up to the Uintah Basin. That should be good. Please get the Utah UFO display. Learn about the Uintah Basin. There's far much more going on than Skinwalker Ranch. I am Erica Lukes. Have a safe weekend and stick around for Willie Miranda. He will be here talking about UFOs and the Bigfoot connection. This will be cool. I'm going to stick around. So take care. Have a wonderful night, and we'll catch you soon.
Listen very carefully.
This is Houston. Say again, please. Houston, we've had a problem.
This is UFO Classified, live every Friday night, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, exclusively on the KCOR Digital Radio Network. The truth is out there, just waiting to be discovered.
And now, if you will, accompany me on a journey to the future.
For more information on the host of UFO Classified, Erica Lukes, upcoming guests, as well as links to the past shows,
visit her website at UFOclassified.com.
UFO Classified.
UFO Classified.
This is KCOR Las Vegas, home of the Digital Radio Network, broadcasting from a shack just south of Area 51.